1, 2, 3. Hello. Test.
It's not working?
Yeah, the micro's working, but there's no.
I thought it was English, like I think both of you guys really were. Yeah. But I was thinking that with English with the accent, I'm dead.
La Fabrique. Starting mocha. Over there.
Andy.
Oh. So welcome to our live coverage of the channel, starting off with none other than Stéphane Lederaison on board Time for Oceans. Stéphane, who narrowly missed out on the match race with Alan Rura yesterday, coming in 18th place. Just a matter of a couple of hours ahead of Pip here yesterday. So Stéphane, second attempt at the Vendée Globe and finally finishing yesterday. He's just mastered in the 2016-2017 race in December, had to sail into Melbourne under jury rig, nearly 8 miles of sailing, making 4 to 5 knots only.
So Stéphane Lederaison talking about his project, Time for Oceans, saying the next step is to build boats that perform well but that respect the environment, to show that it's possible to make things evolve. Because we all have these challenges to face. We have to reduce our carbon footprint if we want to fight this. And we have to set the example for the future generations.
So that was Stéphane Lederaison, Time for Oceans. Stéphane previously worked for Bureau Veritas, looking after sustainable projects, big engineering projects. and I think gave up his job in 2015 to concentrate on his ocean racing. And here we see some images of Alan Roura then, La Fabrique. The two of them had this super close match race for the last 7 days of the race, really. And in the end, Alan winning out that little battle between the two Fino-Conque designs. And that battle reprised, as we said many times in the previous lives, reprised the match race between them coming into the end of the Route de Rhum, when Alan won that one as well by a matter of just 4 minutes after racing from Saint-Malo to Guadeloupe. So Alan completing his second Vendée Globe yesterday. Once again, the youngest skipper, the 33 who started back on Sunday, the 8th of November. He was only 23 then, the youngest ever skipper in the Vendée Globe. And once again, in this edition, still the youngest, 27 years old, and his 28th birthday is on the 26th of February. So in just 2 weeks' time today. We saw lovely images of him reunited with his little baby Billy just minutes after crossing the finish line. Little baby daughter, and with his wife Aurelia.
En mer, tu peux pas. J'étais étonnamment.
So Alan, I think overall slightly disappointed with his finishing position, considering what he hoped for at the start. He was looking to be a little bit further up the leaderboard with his boat, a more competitive, newer generation boat than he raced in 2016-17 when he finished 12th.
Mais on devait passer ensemble la ligne. C'était l'idée. Mais quand
This
il a
time
eu
it
sa petite casse, le retard, il ne pas attendre 12 heures aux larmes.
The winner was much closer. It was only 9 days.
Non, puis entre la nuit, la fatigue, les machins, quand tu peux rentrer au port, tu te poses pas trop la question. C'est un coup à croiser encore un bateau et puis faire une connerie. Ouais.
So Alan Roura commenting about this, the contact race that they had with Stéphane Direzon in the last weeks, and even they had planned to come together. But with the most recent damage that Stéphane had, they decided to move each one at their own speed because it would have been too late to wait and to come in together.
Ah puis oui, il éclaire rien, tu vois rien, c'est tellement proche de l'eau que la moindre vague, on voit pas les feux de nage.
Non mais c'est ça, lui ton phare à un moment donné.
Ah le spot. Ouais.
Alors celui-là on l'a vu.
So Alan commenting on his finish yesterday in pitch dark and how they saw the different lights around.
On voit qu'un côté et suivant la hauteur des vagues, on voit pas quoi.
And depending on the size of the swell, you see one light or the other, and not always both of them. So commenting with a member of his team apparently.
Elle est fraîche.
Just chatting together.
Ouais.
So they're heading for the entrance of the channel.
Ok. Nous sommes en direct à bord de la fabrique. Bienvenue à bord. Le temps est plutôt
Welcome on board.
congélateur.
Alan saying that the weather is more like a freezer, quite
Allumer les feux.
quite cool. Maybe we could turn on the fires in the chimneys to warm up our hands.
Il y a un saut rempli. Je sais pas, les gars, ils ont craqué dans les fumigènes, mais tiré. Ah.
So the boat under engine moving slowly toward the entrance of the channel of Les Sables d'Olonne.
So the two boats will come in to the channel one after the other. Alan Rura coming in first, as he was the first boat to finish off that duo yesterday evening. And then Stéphane de Raison will come in at a suitable distance behind. You have to give a little bit of a thought to the teams, the crews who had to stay out overnight last night, look after the boats when their skippers were in, rightfully and for sure, enjoying the festivities last night. Well earned for both of them. But a much nicer day for them. And there's Alan with his wife Aurelia.
C'est toi, mais toi aussi.
And we're back on board with Time for Oceans. Stéphane de Raison. So Stéphane is an engineer to trade. He loves opera, history books. And his ambition pre-start was to finish the race in 80 days or less. So he's a mechanical engineer to trade. And he had one or two problems, technical problems over the course of the race, but no big problems. His problems were largely weather situations. He had a couple of big storms that he was slightly isolated in, and coming down the South Atlantic in particular, he ended up in much lighter weather than Alan Rura and Arnaud Boissier, who managed to escape. And so when he came into the south, into the Indian Ocean, he was over 400 miles behind the other two.
Oui, bonjour, vous allez bien. On attend.
So on Alan Rura's boat, they're still waiting.
Mais c'est bon, non, rien de particulier, quoi.
Nothing particular to say on Alan's part. Looking up the mast, checking things.
Et bah, de l'émotion.
A lot of
Là,
emotions.
ça fait bizarre parce que du coup, on est arrivé hier, donc.
For him, it's a bit strange. I arrived yesterday, so when I'm back on today,
Ça, c'est bien cool.
it's nice. The weather is good.
Bah, s'il n'y a pas de public, c'est comme le départ. Hein.
If there's no public, it will be
Ah
like
non,
the
mais c'est pas
start.
grave s'il n'y a pas de public.
It doesn't matter if there's no
Si les
public.
gens peuvent le voir en direct,
If people
comme
can
tu fais
see
là,
this
c'est déjà
live,
top. Et
As
puis,
you're seeing me now, it's
hier, on
already
a eu la chance
wonderful.
d'avoir
The
participé au
conditions
Vendée Globe,
are really specific this year
on va
already
revenir
to
dans 4
have
ans
to
du public.
participate in this Vendée Globe, and we'll have 4 more years to get ready.
Il bouge pas, il est bien. Non, mais c'est parce qu'il a un peu moulé sur le. L'autre feuille, tu fais. Ça a tellement travaillé.
Apparently, commenting one of his foils that was damaged a lot, that carried a lot of weight on it. And specifically considering the situation that he had on the keel.
Tu ne mets pas en mode portance, mais tu le mets en mode appui.
So the foil was pushing on the water. He had to adapt its mode because of the keel problem.
Il est venu se buter dans la coque. C'est lui qui a tapé. Alors, les deux foils ont tapé.
À l'entrée de l'Indien, alors.
Et alors, l'entrée de l'Indien, c'est celui-là qui a pris cher. Et qui a rien. Et celui-là, vague, il est remonté. Et il est venu se taper dans son coque. Il manque un bout. Enfin, il manque un bout.
So there's a bit of foil that fell. Just a little bit of it.
Purée, c'est parti.
So here we go. We can see the entrance of the channel.
So of the two skippers coming into the channel this afternoon, Alan Rura is the only one to have experienced the return. All new for Stefan Lerezing, the skipper of Time for Oceans. And I'm fairly sure there will be a few people out to welcome him back. Nice Friday afternoon here in Les Sables d'Olonne. You can see the weather has cleared up a lot overnight, lots and lots of rain. And temperatures have risen slightly. And yesterday morning, they say we had 5 boats over the course of, I think, about 16, 17 hours between Arnaud Boissier yesterday morning at 8:56. And when Arnaud came in, it was still below zero. One of the reasons he did wait around. He was supposed to come in at the back of 9, and in the end, he said, "No, sorry, I'm coming in now. Had enough. It's cold enough." So we came across the line then. Then followed by Kojiro Shiraishi, Japanese skipper, the first Asian skipper to ever finish the Vendée Globe. And then to say these two guys, their boats were kept out on the sea last night while the skippers came ashore, enjoyed their first night in a proper bed, good food, and a little bit of partying at Arnaud Boissier is the local skipper. Turned his unit over into a party central last night. A few skippers were there. So here we go for Alan Rura then, the skipper of La Fabrique. And many skippers, I'm sure, are going to be out in the channel to welcome these two back. We know that they have one launch, one boat chartered for the skippers who are here. We've seen a few over the course of today already. So Alan's already talking about the 2024 race, as are many, many skippers who have finished and some who have still not finished. Pip here at our press conference today was talking about going shopping, looking at the options over the next few days, getting a closer look at the boats on the pontoon in Portolona. And Alan saying in his very first interviews last night how in the end he's a little bit disappointed to have had the technical problems with his keel, because he felt that really compromised his performance since the entrance into the Indian Ocean in particular, and after that. Alan never really set out to be a professional sailor. It just kind of evolved. It happened after he became interested in the mini class. He was cruising with his family when he was a young teenager. So interestingly, just Alan Rura, Stefan de Raison, and Pip Hare. And indeed, Didac Costa after Pip coming in tomorrow, all ex-mini sailors.
So Alan on board, really happy with his fire stop boxes. The channel is animated at this time. We've had a couple of really gray and cold and rainy days in Les Sables d'Olonne, and so he's entering with full enthusiasm of the general public. Also to be noted, what's interesting is that both Alain Roura and Stéphane Le Diraison started sailing very early. Alain Roura crosses the Atlantic when he was 8-year-old, and the two of them bought their first boat at about 15-year-old to sail on their own. So similarities in their profiles, finishing really close in this race. And not long ago on the Route du Rhum 2018, we had the similar situation between the two. The boats are quite the same generation with the same qualities. So yeah, nice return for Alan in this pleasant channel of Les Sables d'Olonne. Many Vendéan people showing up, taking advantage of the atmosphere, positive atmosphere in the current COVID context. Enjoying return at in the afternoon and not during the night. For the French people, we have a curfew going on.
We have a nice overhead shot from our drone of the entrance to the Lone Channel, and Alan getting the Swiss flag out, who lives in Brittany. He's a big, proud Swiss skipper, carrying on the tradition of Swiss skippers in the Vendée Globe after Dominic Vavre and Bernard Stan. Alan Rura, very much the new generation, the young generation. And his sponsors are Swiss. He's back and forwards all the time. Switzerland. He grew up in Geneva originally, started sailing in his Optimist at the age of 6 before his family went off cruising for 11 years. As we were seeing yesterday, that's one of the medium to long-term plans for himself and his family. They're going to repeat that with his family. Nicholson 43 cruising boat just before they set off, or just before he set off for this race. And so that's his next building project, as it were, going to restore the cruising boat and use it for a little bit of training and coaching work for private clients. We should see Stéphane de Raison coming in the next few minutes. He should leave as Alan reaches the Capitanerie on the left side in a couple of hundred meters. So one of the things that Alan said that he wouldn't go down the world without is his gris-gris. So Daphne, what's a gris-gris?
Gregory is something that would bring a good fortune, good luck charm for him. So clearly there is a little bit of superstition in this, but I'm not surprised because this is a man with a lot of humor, kind of free-spirited, and he is authentic in his own way. We have to remember he's self-taught, and he has something of an adventurer. Even now, 4 years later, he's still the youngest skipper on the edition. He makes history once again, being the youngest on the second edition that he starts, and beating, I think, François Gabard was 29 when he won the 2012 edition. So he's a very good sailor. He has a good nature, authentic. I think the audience is really fond of him, kind of a freshness linked to his age. Although we can notice that he has maybe taken into consideration the responsibility of being a father, and maybe deals with things a little bit differently, maybe with a little bit more patience and not letting go too easily to his in the difficult moments.
For sure, I think that's certainly true. But we spoke with him before the start, asking him how he felt about leaving his little daughter, who I think was only 2.5, 3 months old when he left, for effectively double the time of her 3 months, another 3 months at sea. So he'd miss half her lifespan while he was away. But he said he really wanted to create a legacy and for her to look back when she was older and be proud of what her father had achieved. And for sure, he has created that legacy, completing his second Vendée Globe and looking forward to his third. And his wife, Aurelia, who's very, very active in the program, runs all his communications, social media. And I think I mentioned yesterday when he was finishing that she was part of our editorial team back in the 2012 race as an intern in Paris, and she went and worked on the mini circuit and met Alan, and they've been inseparable ever since.
Ça, c'est dans une demi-heure, là, il a dit. Ah oui? Ouais, parce qu'il est bloqué, là. Ah bah, tu peux continuer. Il est dans un temps indéterminé, mais...
Here we go then, just coming into the inner harbour. So their choice to wait for the afternoon return into the channel certainly paying off now. It's beautiful weather. Not so many people, a few more people around in the afternoon after.
Yeah, and the atmosphere here in Les Sables d'Olonne is really particular with this beautiful light. It's still winter, but wow, it's starting to feel a little bit warmer here. And yeah, about his little girl, Billy, I think she was one of the first on board yesterday night. When it was dark, we saw Alan Rura with her in his arms. I'm sure she was happy to see her daddy once again, or maybe she will remember this in a different way. Who knows? Maybe she'll be on the dock on the Vendée Globe pontoon that he's reaching in a few minutes. Alan Rura has the nice humor. He actually nicknamed his pilot Madame Julie about 2 weeks ago. And it's a homage to one of his sisters who apparently is wonderfully good at the helm. So it gives you an indication on how this young fellow functions in his head. I think he has a good approach to life also. He seems to put a reasonable pressure on himself to be able to finish this. It's his second round the world. Both finished, completed, before turning 30 years old.
That's right, and for sure, I think Alan was saying in his early interviews, just saying that he took him a while to really start to enjoy the race, to feel a bit more at one with it. The initial expectations were pretty big. And he set off from the start line in the early days, the early weeks of the race. He had too many technical problems. He was left behind a little bit by the top group. And as the distance increased between him and that top group, and so correspondingly his disappointment and frustration increased. But after a while, in fact, really after his first big problem, we saw him in tears with the hydraulic rams sprayed oil all over the inside of his boat. Saw him in tears. He was struggling at that point. And then a few days later, he kind of come to terms with it, and he really made the decision that he was out there as much to enjoy himself. And then certainly into the Pacific, I think there was a period when he was over at one enjoying the higher speeds and the easier sailing in the early part of the Pacific. And then the race up the Atlantic, I think he quite enjoyed the contact. He didn't have as much in the last race. In fact, he really, one of the abiding phrases that he used last Friday was that it was a race all the way through. He didn't have in race he raced the boat that Pip here brought in, not too far behind him this time. And she was one of her, being one of her benchmarks. It's saying that she just wanted the one thing that created her a little bit in terms of performance, just wanted to be ahead of one or two of these the 2008 generation boats.
Yeah, 2007 generation boat. Yeah, to remind you that it was built for Bertrand de Bock for his Vendée Globe, and it was sailed by Armand Dupiac and finished on the podium in 2009. It's a really seaworthy boat, and yeah, I think as Pip said this morning, she wanted to fight against the foiler more in the end. She wasn't able to do it because she had those problems in the race. I think Alain Gura, as well as Stéphane Le Diraison, Pip, and Didac Costa actually appreciated, enjoyed this contact race until the end. Alan, yeah, did mention that it's motivated him to push until the end. I'm sure they will be happy now to see each other on the pontoon. They were, I think, Stéphane Diraison was saying a few days ago that maybe they would not even need to speak to each other. Just looking at each other was enough, and that's what they wanted to do on land. This edition has clearly been different for Alain Roura, and he has, I think, grown up. Increased his maturity, as you were saying, and was able to continue despite the disappointment very early on in the race. I think he will also admit, like the other ones, that this edition has been rougher than the last one. For those who finished, the weather conditions were very difficult and up till the end. But they all have stated, and I'm sure he will say the same thing, that the assistance that they got in terms of their moral boosting through the WhatsApp connections that they had really made them hold on and go all the way until the finish.
For sure. I think that's true with Alan, with Arnaud Boissé, with Boris. So many of the skippers have come in and mentioned how the WhatsApp group worked for them and communication with land. Interesting then this morning that Pip here saying that she had no inward looking on the internet. Everything off her boat was output. So she didn't stay in touch with any news or anything else. She just lived in her bubble, focused on what she was doing hour to hour, day to day. It's an interesting, different approach from Pip. So there we go. A few people out on the banks of the channel, as you might expect on this beautiful Friday afternoon.
Yeah, it's actually school holidays here in France. A part of the country is on holiday for a couple of weeks. So, of course, the coast is the right place to be at the moment, considering the pandemic, which is not very present here, although we have the same restrictions in Les Sables d'Olonne. But the cases are much lower and the infection rate also. So it's a pleasure for families to come here, for people with secondary homes to open their houses, which they have done since mid-January. They've been here, they've been present for the finishes of all the skippers. Yeah, quite a few people on the jetties. We saw them earlier on now, on their even people on their leisure boats, on the marina docks, to welcome warmly Alan Rua. Yeah, interesting that this a native from Switzerland can actually lead his way against French well-known skippers who train in the Atlantic Ocean. So Alan Rua, who seems really, really happy, waving his flag, and I'm sure everybody ashore is ready to continue to take advantage of this moment, as they have already started doing it yesterday. But it's true that the atmosphere today is quite festive in Les Sables d'Olonne. This blue sky, clearing weather after quite a harsh episode. We did not have snow here on the coast, but there was some inside of Vendée and in many other areas of Région Pays d'Alois. So there's been a particular atmosphere also on that aspect. So Alan on his bowsprit, trying to have the best view possible of what's happening around him, getting ready to dock at the famous Vendée Globe pontoon. Lots of people cheering around, applauding him. A great moment of joyfulness, and I'm sure that he is really enjoying it and taking advantage of every moment, as it was 4 years ago. He will probably look back to this race with a different perspective than in 2016. But clearly, we can be sure that he has made progress, and mostly perception all this and
For sure, and I think he's going to take that forward into next place in 2024, measuring his ambitions a little bit more. But it's also going to be a tough market just now for sponsorship. He said yesterday that he'd have to talk about things with his sponsors, but the budget's going up incrementally for each step up the performance ladder. Remember that Alan really started out pretty much in the same situation as Pip here when he started his project for the 2016-2017 race. Remember him notably remarking that he and his team had so little money, they were having to borrow money for fuel for their van until they had a sponsor come in and help them out at the last minute. But he's had a bigger project, bigger budget this time, faster boat. And certainly, having not been able to stay with that top group, the Damien Segans, for example, of this world, and Giancarlo Pedotti, skippers like that, I think he probably hoped he would have been able to stay with. Weather situations conspired against him and some of the others in this part of the fleet. And really didn't have too many opportunities to come back after they were out of contact in the South Atlantic. For sure, I think, Daphne, one of these things about these intense finishes with so many more boats coming in groups makes it just a little bit harder, even given the current context for the crowds to come out. It's different when you have a boat every 2 or 3 days and the crowds are really focused to come out. And of course, as you said, although there are quite a number of people, holidaymakers, with their second homes, generally a little bit quieter than you would expect during February in the mid-term break.
Yeah, that's right. There are no travel restrictions inside France at the moment, and we are under curfew as of 6 p.m. every night until 6 a.m. But it's true that not everyone is taking advantage of these holidays to move and to change cities or residencies. So yeah, I think the skippers are whatsoever really happy and enthusiastic about whatever return they can have from the crowd. I think they're really feeling the emotions, even if it's not as massive as it probably was for Alain Roja 4 years ago. It was a revelation for us all at the time. He was very young. So yes, of course, there's maybe a little bit of frustration on both ends, from the point of view of the skipper, but also from the audience. Lots of people this edition have been watching on the social networks or through the website, and with those great live programs that we had. It's true. We have to admit that in this circumstance, there are no other events giving so much pleasure and happiness and positive elements to the public. So a lot of people have caught on to this race to keep going every day with excitement. And the finishes are the same. Even if people are not passionate with sailing, they consider it's a real festive moment. And I've heard people say it's the first positive emotional event that they have experienced over a year.
For sure, and I think that's not just within France. Getting great feedback from the campaign, if you like, of Pip Hare. Talking with some of the media this morning at our press conference, saying that her race has reached so many different people all around the world. They've identified with her, the start of her story, enjoyed her communication, and really become totally engaged with the race. One of the things that to do over the next few weeks is going to be a big hole in people's lives, really, where the Vendée Globe has filled their days over the last 3 months. Just flag there waiting for Alan Rura on the dock as he comes in.
Yeah, quite a few people on the boat too. They're members of this team, partners, of course, the organizing authority, officials, everyone a part of a nice moment. We have now the music on, Alain Roja dancing on board, so continuing the partying.
The music we want John, I'm still standing. He's not just standing but dancing. He returns to land after another epic Vendée Globe. We'll get the champagne moment in a few seconds, I'm sure.
Alain Roja getting off the Imoca boat on the side, putting in place the fenders, the massive fenders to protect the boat, the foils. Yeah, great choice of music. Still standing. It's a nice challenge. This Vendée Globe. It's maybe a reference to the COVID virus. We're all still standing here. Yes.
Yeah, indeed. And certainly I think the Vendée Globe has been a beacon of hope, source of dreams for so many people over the last 3 months. We still have 5 skippers out there, or 6 at the moment, until Didac Costa tomorrow. and we'll stay in touch with them. We're going to still carry on doing the podcast and the audio calls with the teams, but this moment really does belong to Alan Rura. Welcome back to Les Sables d'Olonne.
Alan Rua being welcomed by Florence Pinault, the Vice President of the Vendée Département, who's probably congratulating him on his race. Département Vendée, the President Yves Vinet, who is not here today, but who represents the SEM Vendée organizing authority of the race, in which the Vendée Department has a huge stake.
The Vendée Department really this race, whether they could for the region, for everybody who's worked on it, and just playing his boat with the champion and himself. Missing his boat. Thanks to his boat for bringing him back safely. I think at some stages it was a little bit of a love-hate relationship, but just now, respectful admiration for his boat, which has done a great job for him.
Okay, back at home, it's done and well done. So Alan saying hello to everyone. He's just seen Kelly offering a drop of champagne to him. So great joy on his face.
Ouais. C'était bien sympa notre petit match. Ouais.
So this talking about the race with Kelly.
Deux fois qu'il finit devant sur le Vendée. Jamais 203, mais non, la prochaine
fois, non. And as we say in French, I never
c'est trop vieux maintenant. Ouais. C'est ça. Ouais, c'est ça. Ouais. Ça, c'est cool, on a bien rigolé.
So they had great fun on the water.
Bah, on a bien monté notre niveau, je trouve, quand on s'est débrouillé pour faire notre bateau. Avec Stéphane et tout, Kojiro. Bravo à toi.
You think, Kojiro?
Bah ouais, il n'avait pas arrivé très loin tous, hein. C'était proche. D'ailleurs, Kali, il était.
Saying that Kali and Kojiro are really good together.
Bah ouais, j'ai vu ça. Ouais. Nous, on a fait croisière avec Stéphane, on a fait le tour.
Stéphane for a couple of weeks.
Oh la vache.
Incredible.
Notre WhatsApp notre finale à nous.
C'était nickel. C'était nickel. On a pu faire plein de bêtises. C'était...
Ouais.
Ça, on dira pas.
Tu as bien nettoyé ton téléphone?
Pas encore. Pas encore. Bon. Faut que je le fasse.
Oh, and you see behind us on the red carpet, we just Jean Le Tam.
C'était bizarre d'arriver le lendemain. Enfin, c'est un peu bizarre, mais.
Moi, c'est là que je suis arrivé ce matin et à 14h, on a rentré le bateau.
Ça va, c'est cool. Quand t'arrives à attendre pas toute la nuit dehors.
Friends from the race about when they arrived, which distance was
moi, j'ai bien dormi. J'ai bien dormi.
Nickel, il est propre, le bateau.
Il est à vendre.
So, offering his boat, saying that it's on sale.
Ouais, il est propre. Ouais. Bah, hormis la quille, le reste, c'est nickel.
And saying that it's in good state, except for the keel.
Ah bah t'es sous toilette tout le temps quoi.
So because of this keel
bah,
problem,
en fait j'ai trouvé des trucs entre les foils, les réglages de voile et tout pour essayer de maintenir des vitesses. Ouais, j'essaie d'avancer quoi.
Work with the foils in order to maintain his speed despite the keel problem.
Bah ça c'est un peu ma technique aussi de faire genre. C'est comme Stéphane, je lui dis ouais je réduis, je me mets à ton niveau pour la nuit comme ça à la cool. Et en fait on me réduire, je la rebalance.
And lied on what they were saying on the messages.
Il a dit chérie, j'y crois hier, c'est ça.
That they were going in the better technique, but actually they didn't. It was kind of a game
Voilà,
between
l'an
them.
dernier, j'ai eu 45 nœuds, quoi.
Mais là, hier soir, là, mais on a pris
So,
quoi, 25 minutes, quoi. T'as juste envie d'arriver tranquillou.
Alan saying that there was not a win off Les Sables d'Olonne, and he had to back, and he was just hoping to come in.
Moi, je matossais, c'était des bords de 3000. Alors, matossé.
Ah ouais.
Oh, non, c'est- Bah, grave. Puis belle course, Kojiro. Nice race. Super race.
Now you're same makers?
So Alan Houra enjoying the taste of champagne after 3 months.
Bah, de toute façon, j'ai envie de dire, on est pas de bière, mais.
There he goes. First foot ashore. Hugging Kojiro, hugging Arnaud. And there's Pip, who is there to welcome him also. Warm up with everyone. Everyone is thrilled to see Pip. Among the French members.
My drink, you're too fast.
Okay, non-COVID compliant. Everybody's sharing the champagne bottle, but all of these skippers, remind you, were actually locked down on their own boat during 3 months. So fortunately, I think the virus didn't hit the Great South Southern Seas.
Did you see? Right.
I didn't see it. I didn't want it. I didn't want to hear the. I hope.
You're there?
I hope.
You go?
So they're chatting together in English and French, Japanese. Really cosmopolitan race, this Vendée Globe edition.
I sure think this little section of the race has been most international with Swiss, Japanese, English, French, and then Spanish skipper Didac Costa coming in tomorrow. And all of them have really raced quite closely, all in all, since the Indian Ocean. Some of them have escaped by a massive 100 or so miles here and there. But really, after Cape Horn, they were fairly close as a group. Kojiro came in from behind with his reefed mainsail. And Jeremy Bayou with them for that group, just for a little bit of time. And they kind of split up into match races, if you like, with and Alan Rura and Stefano de Raison. Arnaud Boissy and Kojiro a little bit out in front in the end. And Alan Rura and Raison. And actually catching up and stayed over 120 miles over the last 36 hours. And she was only about 15, 16 miles behind the Raison. Hampered for the 20 miles for the problems with their fuel system. Their yeah, they all were. What are you saying?
Koji speaking, I think, expressing in Japanese. I don't know if he's saying a few words here. Probably has his maybe next to helping out because he doesn't master the English language enough. He told us yesterday during the press conference that 3 months were not long enough for him to learn French. There was too much noise from the foil for him to concentrate on learning French. I guess this one is that motivated. Yeah, so it's nice to see Pip among these male skippers, huh? But he probably scared a couple of times. And Alan,
J'arrive.
France.
Prends ma topette.
Cédric, tu vas pouvoir venir aussi. On va passer la cam. Plutôt à l'avant. Ok. On va bien. Plutôt à l'avant.
So they're all gathering on the boat. The relationship he has with his boat is a little bit what Giro told us yesterday about the boat. He apologized or insisted the same. And they're all very fusional with their boats.
Always.
Covering up. Quite a big team, huh? In comparison to what we had in 2016.
I know. And then I wrote to him.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Anyway,
Not all of them. I don't think they're all technical team. I think there's a few people from the side. When I spoke with Alan before the start, he said that though his team was bigger, he really still enjoy the same ambience of the team as he had back in 2016, 2017. Mostly friends, happy to work together, chosen for their technical skills, but also for their approach to life. Friendly, fun team, and really over the piece. I think. But otherwise, his boat was pretty well prepared. And welcome back to his team, and thanks for all their hard work. There we go, Nick. As the youngest skipper in the Vendée Globe. You would like to think Daphne in a lot of ways that he won't be the youngest on the next edition. There'll be a newer, younger generation coming along, ready to take up the challenge. Perhaps looking at the model that Alan set in 2015. We'll still see these older generation 2000 boats entry level into the Vendée Globe for them back in the future. It's the thing about how much tougher is physically to race these boats. We're going to hear a few words from Alan now.
Allez, regardez par là.
Ticket with Giro, Jean Le Cam, Arnaud Boissier, and Pierre. Yeah, we hope that younger skippers will come and participate in the Vendée Globe. As Pip mentioned it this morning, they hope to encourage a new generation. Why not also Japanese skippers? They have been inspired by Kojiro's success. So yes, whatever you get on board, a different approach to the race and maybe a different behavior on the water also.
Une photo, j'arrive. Enfin, ouais, non, tu fais ça quand il est beau le bateau.
Bah ouais,
Dommage, il est
Alan commented on the boat and wow, looking up and saying, wow, it's a really beautiful boat. More pictures with the five skippers together with this great, nice weather and the blue sky behind in the background. A lot of photographers around on the pontoon. It's an impressive lineup here.
He will come in due course. But Stefan very much part of
Bon, merci
that.
en tout cas. Au revoir, merci.
The elder statesman of the Mocha class, finishing fourth, his second best finish in his 5 Vendée Globe.
Ah ouais. Ah ouais.
Both Arno Buckley have
Oui, ouais, on travaille.
races. And there we go. Alan Root have been taken to meet the media.
Merci de l'avoir amené à bon port. On a eu des moments difficiles.
So we had difficult moments.
Et ouais, merci de m'avoir amené là. Et on a vécu une belle aventure tous les deux.
We've lived a great
Et
adventure.
c'était ma dernière navigation, ma dernière course avec. Donc voilà, c'est aussi lui dire au revoir.
My
Le
last
bateau là, il est en
race
vente,
was
donc j'espère qu'il va
to say goodbye.
partir dans les mains d'un autre skipper bientôt. Et puis voilà, c'était mon petit adieu.
Ouais, beaucoup de cœur.
Beaucoup de cœur, c'est un bateau que j'aime beaucoup.
I really enjoyed
Il va
this
banquer.
boat.
Il y a d'émotion.
Ouais,
I will miss
c'est
it. There
mon
is a lot
deuxième
to
Vendée. J'aime beaucoup mes bateaux et là, c'était le mot de la fin avec celui-là.
love my boats and it improve with this one.
Bah, avec du recul, en fait,
Actually,
plusieurs skippers, on s'est rendu compte que quand tu pars sur le deuxième Vendée Globe,
that when you
tu sais à
take
quoi t'attendre en guillemets, en termes de gestion du bateau, de tout ce qui va avec. Et du coup, tu tires peut-être différemment dans le bateau
you
que
deal
quand
with
c'est la première fois et
the first time,
peut-être un peu moins performant finalement,
lower in
moins la
performance.
fougue de la jeunesse, voilà. Et ça a été un Vendée Globe difficile par rapport à mes soucis techniques de qui m'ont coûté très cher en termes de classement et du coup dans le mental ça a été vraiment dur.
It was difficult
Et
this
il a
time.
fallu passer au-dessus et puis se dire que bah tant pis pour la course, mais il faut que j'emmène mon bateau à bon port. Et c'est vrai que j'étais parti en compétiteur sur cette course et finalement je l'ai fini à l'aventure et c'est une belle histoire. Voilà. Au début ça a été dur à accepter et puis avec du recul je me dis bon
At the
je suis fier d'être
beginning,
là avec mon bateau et puis,
I found to be careful with the boat.
On vient d'assister à un moment sympa là, de retrouver les autres skippers du Vendée.
To
Ça,
see all
on
this
voit avec le sourire, c'est un joli moment.
ouais carrément bah avec Kali on a passé la moitié du tour du monde ensemble donc on commence à bien se connaître. Il y a 4 ans, on était proches aussi, donc voilà, on commence à être bons copains. Kip, elle navigue sur mon ancien bateau, donc voilà, c'est aussi un super échange. Que Giro, on se connaît aussi depuis un petit bout de temps. Jean aussi, donc c'est sûr que ça fait plaisir de tous se retrouver. Puis voilà, c'est un moment de partage parce qu'on sait ce qu'on a vécu. Et finalement, c'est très dur à exprimer, mais on le sait, on connaît la difficulté en fait de tout ça et d'être présent. Peu importe le classement, voilà, on a tous mérité d'être là aujourd'hui et je pense que c'est une fierté de se retrouver tous ensemble et de se dire bon on l'a fait quoi.
Tu as dit à Kali, on s'est fait plaisir, tu sais pas que c'est plaisir que tu as fait avec tous les copains.
Bah, on s'est tiré la bourre. En fait, le Vendée Globe, c'est ça aussi, c'est que tu as plusieurs flottes dans la flotte et il y a le peloton de tête. Ok, bon, ils ont fait une super course. Les 10 premiers bateaux, c'était vraiment très serré. Puis finalement, il y a eu des pelotons de plusieurs bateaux. Et nous, on s'est fait un peloton de 3-4 bateaux là, qui était vraiment assez intéressant parce que j'ai eu la chance de naviguer 3 jours à vue avec Charal, de pouvoir échanger avec Jérémy que je connaissais pas forcément. J'ai appris à le connaître et franchement, c'était des moments inoubliables. Voilà, vraiment, j'ai appris à connaître des gens sur ce tour du monde. C'est quand même étonnant. On est voisins à Lorient et on apprend à se connaître sur l'eau. Beaucoup de plaisir et en fait, on a augmenté notre niveau de navigation parce qu'on avait tous des bateaux forcément affaiblis par le temps, par l'usure. Et quand il y en a un qui est un peu plus rapide, bah, tu cherches le moyen d'être aussi rapide que lui, donc tu vas tirer un peu plus. Et en fait, bah, tu prends plus de plaisir du coup. Et voilà, Boukali, il a lâché les chevaux là, à la fin, là, il a tout donné. Et, il a fait le show et bon, il est parti. Mais ouais, ça a été une belle bagarre et beaucoup de plaisir à naviguer avec des gens qui sont bon état d'esprit. Ouais. C'est chouette que dans la course au large, ça existe. C'est une belle leçon, ouais.
Madame, tu as eu une arrivée un peu particulière avec une nuit entre de la ligne et le cheval.
C'est très étonnant en fait d'arriver. Alors d'arriver de nuit déjà, ça fait bizarre. Hein. C'était une image magnifique sur ce tour du monde. De voir tous les bateaux, toutes les lumières. Il y avait du vent, il y avait des embruns. Enfin, c'était une arrivée difficile. Et puis le bateau, on l'a marré à une bouée cette nuit. L'équipe technique a dormi à bord. Moi, j'ai décidé de mettre pied à terre parce qu'il y a un moment donné, voilà, trouver un lit, c'était pas mal. Et c'est vrai que c'était assez étonnant de remonter sur le bateau ce matin, de remonter le chenal après, là, en début d'après-midi. Et puis en fait, même s'il n'y a pas de public, si les quais sont fermés, c'est compliqué. Ça a été un moment hyper intime, le chenal. Ouais. J'ai trouvé ça très émouvant, très joli. Voilà, on a vécu un Vendée Globe différent, mais on l'a vécu et on a réussi à faire quelque chose de grand, quoi. Merci à l'organisation parce que de A à Z, c'est quand même un super événement, quoi.
Parmi les galères, tu as des belles images que tu peux nous retranscrire.
So just a little bit of an update on the situation with Time for Oceans. He's been held up slightly with a technical issue with the boat. And I think we understand he's going to come in and then dismount from the boat in a rib. But here he is coming into the channel. A little bit of a delay for him, but crowds out for Stéphane Raison. Beautiful afternoon, and he is the next to come into the channel. And this is the first experience of the channel for Stéphane Raison. Had to abandon 2016-2017 race, and this is the first time that the boat has finished a race. The boat started out in 2007. 8 as Alex Thompson's Hugo Boss retired from the next race as Gutek, the Polish skipper's Inertia. And then in the last edition, it was sailed by Stéphane Raison, and I say he had to retire. So a nice moment, a big moment for the skipper who gave up his career as a full-time career as an engineer in 2015-2016 to join the class.
Yes, apparently a small technical issue for Stéphane Raison at the moment, as he was getting out of his night mooring. A rope got caught in a turbine, so he's going to have to bring his boat to a particular spot in the harbor under the cranes and leave the boat there, and he will finish his channel passage on a rib. So as we heard, and as we've been saying for a couple of weeks now, anything can happen until the last moment, and even after the finish.
How strange, isn't it? That boat, as we said, although he's finished the race, and remember way back in 2007-8, this was the boat that, as Hugo Boss was hit by a fishing boat pre-start. From England to the Sable d'Olonne. And there was a massive race against time by the Hugo Boss team, by Alex Thompson's team, to get the boat ready. And this time, at least, it's crossed the finish line. But just a small technical issue, a little bit of a leak, I believe. And so they're just going to, rather than bring the boat into the pontoon, put it under the crane and lift it. And just take the water doesn't stay in the boat or any further problems for Stéphane Raison. It's certainly not impacting on his enjoyment of the channel just now.
Yeah, and as you said, Andy, there were 3 failed attempts to finish this Vendée Globe on this boat. So I guess Stéphane has fulfilled his goal that it set at thing it was to finally bring this boat back to Les Sables. So yeah, he crossed the finish line. Well, he had a small technical problem. It won't finish completely on the podium of Vendée Globe, but has brought this 2007 Kino boat all the way around the world to finish in Les Sables d'Olonne. Not in the country, not yet, not immediately, but close to it, close enough to it. Stefan has been racing a lot over the last few years. He has entered all the IMOCA races of the IMOCA Globe series, so a lot of experience for him on the boat. So just a small issue at the end, but the finish line was crossed. So for him, it's a great success, and I'm sure he's really happy and proud of his boat.
Yeah, just to clarify, being towed by the rib in front of him. You can see that full line. In the meantime, Stefan enjoying the welcome as best he can with the minor dramas going on. But key thing, he's in Les Sables d'Olonne, he's safe, and he's finished his race in 18th place, just before Pip here. Incredibly likable skipper, quite charismatic, but Daphne quite serious. He likes his opera.
Yeah, these skippers are really quite impressive. The doctor of the race, he has a habit of saying that they are multitasked. They are great navigators. They have to be good in mechanics and informatics. They have to be good in communication and production, editing, all these aspects. And some of them have really interesting hobbies. So yes, this marine engineer loves opera, enjoys reading, and specifically history books, and is into meditation also. I think meditation, self-consciousness, all this has also become one of the key resources of the skippers on this edition. Funny to think that WhatsApp has been a key lever on this edition, but also maybe meditation and all this personal development trend.
Indeed, for sure. We certainly know that very many of the skippers this time have had mental coaches or to work with. Alex Thompson has worked with one for many years, but this time we spoke with Evan's mental coach, and also we know that Jeremy Biu has won, Charlie Dallin has won. But the meditation's a big thing, in particular for Stefan Vendée, and also Armel Tripon, and also our Japanese skipper, as you might expect. And for sure, Armel Tripon spoke about 2 years of practicing keeping his emotions in check, being able to stay calm and focus on the positive outcomes rather than worrying about the negatives. And that was the case for Armel when he had his problems going down the early part of the race off La Coruña, off Cape Finisterre, and his J2 hook broke, ended up with a sail on the deck and a little bit of a collateral damage at the same time. And he was at that point thinking about going into La Coruña and having to stop and make a technical repair. But he said after his race that one of the things that really helped him stay calm and just focus on the positive outcomes was his mental preparation over the previous 2 years. I think probably the meditation helped for Stefan de Raison. Remember, as I said, he was pretty well upset after having to retire into Australia. Although, as my colleague said yesterday, he made a positive out of that and went a little bit of a personal safari in Australia after that. And then almost immediately relaunched his program, got the boat back to France and put a new mast on, new foils on. And all in all, a successful race. He said a few days ago when he was, I asked him whether he still was focused and it was important to him to try and take places all the way up to the finish line. He said, yes, absolutely. But once I've crossed the line, it's only about the main target. have finished the race, and no matter what the number is, I'll be happy, and we can see that just now with Stefan Andrezon. You have to wonder where we will see him next. He too wants to move up the performance ladder, wants to have a newer boat, and has been talking about building a boat in more sustainable materials. But Daphne, a beautiful afternoon for these two boats coming in the channel.
Yeah, clearly the sun is out, the sky is blue, the temperatures are increasing. It was below zero early this morning, and during the night, of course, with a cold windshield factor. Now it's getting much warmer, and the atmosphere is warming up with the entrance of the skippers in the channel. Stéphane de Diraison dismasted off Australia 6 weeks after he started his race in 2016. So definitely he'll be happy and satisfied with his results, even if it's over the 80 days that he had set for himself, like many skippers on this edition. Talking about multitasking, he is a marine engineer and was specialized at Bureau Veritas in renewable marine energy. So a lot about wind power, which has probably helped him to manage the problems aboard. And he has a degree in mechanical engineering. So those are assets for these skippers. It's not enough to be able to sail. It's just you need all the rest.
So there we are. That's something completely new for Stefan de Diraison. We're going into the commercial port, where, as I say, he'll put his boat under a crane there. So first for the Vendée Globe, and this live coverage of the arrival of Stefan de Diraison, rather than going straight down into Portalona, he's taken the right turn into the commercial port. So. And as you say, Daphne, appropriate considering he's a marine engineer, specialist in big ships and marine transport. He's probably as much excited going into the commercial port from there. But the abilities to ground to join us. At the pontoon d'honneur, enjoyed the red carpet moment. Never a dull moment even with the finish line completed and having been kind of linked with a score last night as well, but we're not sure about that one. Alan Ruder explaining that he decided that come what may, he wants to be ashore with his family. For something new for us.
It's a new point of view for the Vendée Globe followers also to deliver this part of the harbor in Barcelona. So we have the famous marina, the leisure boat marina with the honor pontoon of the Vendée Globe, and we have this commerce port quite active in this Abdelon, bringing in boats, and there is also quite a large fishing activity also still in this Abdelon. So I'm sure there's still some workers in those buildings. They're probably really happy to see a boat passing by their windows. But for sure, it's an original way to finish the Vendée Globe. Whether it has missed the exit, but you're right, and maybe for him it's quite exciting, and maybe he'd prefer to stay in that area and to check the boat and how things go, to make sure they go smoothly, rather than go all the way to the pontoon. No, just kidding, because I think he's probably waiting for this warm welcome that he's expected to have on the pontoon.
the commercial port. Time for oceans. Yeah,
Yeah, so ironically, taking time for oceans, doing this, taking more time on the water as if we didn't want to really come back ashore. Who knows? Yeah, just to remind you that Stéphane de Diraison carries a strong message for protection of oceans, in line with his studies and in line with his previous professional career that he stopped actually only in 2015 to go completely professional on sailing. He defends a new way of sustainable development for boats without any molds, with the use of lighter goods and curing at a lower temperature, having bio-based resin. So many ideas, many initiatives that he's pushing forward to try to change the way we consider the oceans. I think that many seafarers he was quite sensitive to the level of work in the middle of the ocean, as Paris Kramer had expressed also. It was amazing to consider that you would see plastic bottles in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere. So this surely is the first for the Vendée Globe. Huh? We're always waiting for them to come in a quite fast mode. And,
every day is a school day on the Vendée Globe. See something new. There you go. Edition of finish day, if like, for time for oceans. Port. Stefan has jumped off in his rib. He will be coming round to the opportunity to be met by PIB and over the course of that Alfreda's arrival. Just looking after this boat and make sure it's safely docked, or close to safely docked before he comes back to join us in the main marina. So we get a little bit of a lesson how to dock a Namoka in the commercial port. Nonetheless, here we're just expecting Stefan to come off his boat in the next few minutes.
and it's actually quite convenient to have this commerce port in Les Sables d'Olonne for the finish of the race. You never know if there's a technical issue. It's true that Les Sables d'Olonne is a complete port site with the leisure boats and the commerce and the fishing part. So Stéphane de Diraison stepping off his boat, probably a little bit sad to finish in this way and not to be able to dock directly on his boat as was expected. That's why they had waited for the rising tide and to come up the channel at daytime and be able to reach the official pontoon of the Vendée Globe.
So there we see the skipper in the rib. Should be just joining us shortly, but a little bit of coincidence, if you like, between Pip Hare and Stéphane de Raison, both their Vendée Globes, if you like, in different ways, attributable to cycling accidents. Stéphane de Raison had a cycling accident when he was 15 or 16. He was in hospital, and it was really when he came out of that recovery from that, he decided he really had to make more of his sailing life, and that's really where he started to push first into the minis and then class 40, and then into the Mocha class. So that really was the catalyst. That was his wake-up call. He had to wanted to do more with his life. It was the same with Pip Hare. Pip had a cycling accident. She was hit by a truck and broke her hip, and when she was recovering from that, it was her down moment. Really, the time when she started to realise that really, if she was ever going to do the Vendée Globe, she needed to make that decision and start her project going. And here they both are, finishing one after the other. Stéphane just ahead, only 15, 16 miles in the end. But a little bit of a shared story for them. As we said, a fair number of them will have been rivals back in the mini class, going way back into the early 2000s, 2001. I think the mini race then, if I remember rightly. Well, for sure, Yannick Bestaven and Arnaud Boissy raced in that. Be sure that it was also told that it was Boris Herman's first mini race, although he was in the series class. So many of the skippers have come through these mini 650s, which teach the skippers so much about self-reliance, about looking after themselves and their boats. And these transferable skills will be above the class in due course.
So part of the team probably stayed on board the Time for Oceans, and Liaison is heading for the pontoon of the Vendée Globe on a rib, probably a little bit sad, melancholic to leave his Imoca boat behind, because he is the first one who managed to finish the Vendée Globe on this boat, on this particular boat. After several big skippers, navigators, Alex Thompson, for example, had tried to do it before him. So probably a little bit of sadness to let go of this boat in these conditions. But he really did the job. He brought it all the way to the finish line, and I'm sure he's proud of himself for having done that, despite this little issue, a technical issue after the race, actually. For the rest, he has done a wonderful job on his second round the world in difficult weather conditions. As Alan and as other skippers have expressed it, Arnaud also, I think they were not expecting such difficult conditions, weather conditions on, for many of them, a second on the globe. But they make the most of it, and realized that being part of a peloton in the middle of the ranking is not that bad. They're very happy to fight. These people are skippers before all, so they're happy to push the boat and to fight against one each other.
Stéphane il est parti sur le zone là. Ah ouais. Ok. Vas-y.
So all the information as we have is that Stefan is going to come in a semi-rigid.
Non, je pense pas.
We're still watching him. They're getting the boat under the crane in due course, I think. And there we see a rib, hopefully with the skipper of Time for Oceans on board. So grand tour of the docks in Les Sables d'Olonne. An important part of the economy, the local economy. As Daphne was saying, not just a big fishing fleet, but little cargo ships come and go. And Stefan de Raison on board this rib. I think wasting no time now in getting in and joining the party in the Portolona Marina. Just waiting for Alan Rura's press conference to start in due course this afternoon. And also Stefan de Raison's will happen not too long after that. So busy afternoon. Long night last night with Pip here arriving into the channel at 2:30 in the morning. Already a busy day yesterday with 4 boats finishing, then Pip. And the action, the excitement, the emotion continuing through this beautiful Friday afternoon.
Yeah, about the port and the activity in Les Sables d'Olonne, we have to remember that the Vendée Globe race has driven a lot of development in the recent years that have happened in the city of Les Sables d'Olonne. And recently, about 2 years ago, started a whole remodeling project around the pontoon, the Esplanade, which we call the Esplanade, near the pontoon of the Vendée Globe, in order to welcome visitors and teams and boats in the best ways possible. There was work done also to excavate rocks from the bottom of the sea, of the bay, and in order to actually enable the organization authority to accept more boats in the race. And so this year it was an amazing 33 record boats who started on the 8th of November. And thanks to this work that was done on the pontoon and the marina around it, we were able to accept more boats in this incredible edition.
So Daphne, we forget that there was an initial limit of 30 boats, I think it was, set as the maximum number that could be accommodated. And that's what defines the number of entries in the race. How many boats can be accommodated on the main pontoon, and that was increased very slightly. And hence we have this record of 33 entries, and not just 33 entries, but at the moment we're looking at probably fingers crossed, touch wood, 25 finishers. Here's hoping, but that would be the lowest rate of attrition in the history of the Vendée Globe. Some of that I think attributable to the weather, some of it attributable to the preparation, the improved preparation, and for sure some of it attributable to the IMOCA Globe Series and the requirement for the skippers and their boats to compete in a number of preparation races in the IMOCA Globe Series, which I think has surely ensured that the boats and their skippers arrive on the Vendée Globe start line in prepared better. Both the boats and the skippers have generally sailed more miles. The exception this time being the new generation boats, which due to a combination of things, some were launched later than you would imagine. I'm thinking of, in particular, l'Occitane en Provence, Courhomme L'Epargne, launched very late, and they're the boats that probably had sailed the fewest racing miles. In fact, I think Gorham hadn't sailed a proper race at all before they started. Whereas Roqueton started the Vendée Arctic and finished with some structural problems in their bow. So there's for sure a lesson for the next quadrennial. I think more and more skippers, those who have the opportunity to go through, will do so earlier in the time frame, in the time window, very much in the model, the blueprint of Jeremy Bayou and the Chiral program. So slightly ignominious arrival for Vendée de Raison, but nonetheless an arrival nonetheless, and he has finished his Vendée Globe. That's the key thing for him after 2016-17. And the welcome from the media and his friends and family will be just as warm, just as passionate as normal.
Everybody's happy to see him ashore. Finally, yeah, and he has raced a lot over the last few years in the IMOCA Group Circuit. Spring and I'm coming welcome back. Now, Flore, finally, probably happy, welcomed by Florence Pinot, so the Vice President of the Département Vendée. Exchanging a few words together, a big smile on Stéphane Le Direz's face, and Florence Pinot handing him a very big face. Behind the background singing. Talking about the ocean. Stéphane Le Direzon enjoying the champagne, trying it around and taking it finally. It didn't go through.
It's so much fun with him over the course of the race than did the previous race. The English perfect, no doubt, partly due to his previous life as a commercial engineer. He says stop.
Et on parlait sur les moyens de trouver la motivation quand c'est dur en mer. Et moi, Stéphane, en 2016, à chaque fois que j'en fais plus sur le ponton, je pensais à la bouteille de champagne et le bouchon qui saute. Et du coup, l'image lui est restée. Et plein de fois pendant cette course, j'ai pensé
The champagne and
à ce moment-là. Donc ça y est.
champagne.
Merci beaucoup.
So, taking,
Je ne vais pas la boire en entier parce que je crois que ça va la partager un petit peu.
and he says that he's going to seriously
Merci beaucoup.
everyone.
Merci.
Laura Le Goff, a managing director of the Vendée Globe, coming to greet, welcome, and congratulate Stéphane Le Direzon.
C'est un vrai jusqu'au bout.
Expressing
Qui est déjà rentré en semi-rigide?
all the way how Pip hair, yeah, Pip hair, congratulating him on the level of his life. And
I was
also,
upset last night. No.
She's coming back.
No. And I see you close the straight. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good race.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see you.
Tired?
Tired? It's okay.
I haven't been to sleep yet.
It was so cold yesterday.
Oh, wasn't it?
The rest
Yeah.
set the condition is
And
so
I
bad.
had, when I came in, I had 35 knots.
Ah,
Yeah,
great.
it was horrible.
I have only 30. Yeah, it was horrible. April also.
Yeah.
So cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until the end.
I don't want to finish like that.
We dream how to finish with the downwind,
I
with the low. Wait, no, not this time. It's not a real Vendée Globe.
A big welcome for Kajiro.
So you so sometime we eat
Yeah. This time we did it. Congratulations.
Congratulations. So we first time finished.
Congratulations. Sad story with the math and too, so I don't think we forget.
Yeah.
No.
So thank you so much. Message. So
Yeah.
very good fun.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yes.
I crossed your road.
Yeah.
The first week.
Ah.
Near to the SR.
Yes, sir.
And then
Yeah.
you were
Yes.
yes. But after you was clever.
Yeah.
You drive
Yes.
better choice.
Okay. So anyway, congratulations.
Yeah, it's good. You're the first Japanese in the
Yes.
run over there. Good.
You seem rested after
Okay. Nice.
you
Okay.
on the road. Gone around the
The
world
next
because
time
he clean shaved,
You take pleasure with both.
attitude, and did not look tired.
And your boat
Stefano
is,
Di Good, huh? He doesn't seem that
open.
his
Open,
face.
I
I
think, to you. We have the same in 2 seconds.
They're all chatting in English, so there's language for you.
I was thinking Didac. You think, no,
Some
you
Kippers
must
have
have to-
expressed the wish that the official language of the club become English for the next time.
Yeah, but you see, I ripped the pulpit off as well. And,
If it's
and my
explaining
keel line's
the
broke on
damage
last
that
day
he's
today.
had,
Oh.
that she has ripped a part of the pulpit.
And what about the problem with the jellyfish?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay?
Well, I have
Oh.
still have some.
jellyfish?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Reading his daughter.
I sent a message to you. Oh,
Here's
I'm
the-
fine, but I have a problem with the jellyfish. Jellyfish? You swim? You go swimming? No. The jellyfish was in the sail bag. No, bad luck.
Because I told Alan and he laughed.
Yeah. I was so
Uh,
surprised at the message. My English is not about the jellyfish. I checked to be sure.
and a very fluent.
So strange. It's good. You arrived yesterday midday?
Just a
Perfect
group of
timing.
friends.
Perfect timing.
Perfect.
Straight in.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Very
nice.
lucky.
You avoid to tack
Yesterday.
because you go closer to Spain and then a better.
But we are so long way, so
Yeah, it's a longer way.
So
But it was better. It's good. Wow. Now we need sleep. I think. Waste time. Yeah, cool.
yes.
Cool. What do you think about my boat? Isn't it?
Beautiful.
Is looking for the
He
same.
says, what?
It's not a
Think
good,
about
a
He's gone round.
real Vendée Globe is until the end. You don't have any problem to fix. It doesn't matter. Good. You have time to sleep, Kojiro?
yeah, good sleep.
An entire night?
Good
Yeah.
No alarm.
No alarm.
Yeah,
No
no
alarm. I can't stand the alarm. The wind,
See him with this little dog.
collision road.
These are always amazing.
I only sleep
Girl
only
fathers
3
or
hours.
mothers,
No.
super emotional.
Yeah,
The
it's
kids are all so happy to see their children. Parents sometimes a little bit shy. This little young girl seems shy, but
Onze
a
niets,
wonderful
Ah oui, oui.
family meeting up again after 3 long months. And it's true that it said that this year is different.
Ce Vendée
what's
Globe.
but it's
Comment
still difficult
résumer une épreuve aussi
to summarize this.
exigeante, aussi entière en quelques phrases? Je disais, c'est la
Should I summarize
course de
it?
tous les extrêmes, la course de tous les contrastes, et l'édition était, il me semble, particulièrement intéressante et relevée.
quite stressful.
Et je suis venu ici, moi, pour me mettre au défi de faire ce tour du monde, au défi
This
de
challenge for
réaliser
my
ce tour du monde en course. J'ai été très bien servi, hein.
around the globe race.
J'ai été, comment dirais-je, voilà, face à un certain nombre d'obstacles, qui soient météo, techniques ou qui se passent dans la tête aussi, parce qu'en 95 jours, forcément, il y a des hauts et des bas, hein. Ce serait vous mentir que de vous dire que j'étais tout le temps le plus heureux sur le bateau, mais justement, c'est un sublime exercice à tout point de vue pour aller au bout de soi, pour dépasser ses limites. Et évidemment, j'ai envie de dire, c'est marquant, c'est même plus que marquant. Ça a un impact sur tout le reste de ma vie, forcément, parce que ça m'a permis de réfléchir différemment, hein. Ça fait partie des joies du solitaire. On se retrouve seul face à soi-même, seul face à ses forces et ses faiblesses, et ça permet de ne pas se mentir définitivement, même si j'ai fait beaucoup de solitaire et que je pense que je me connaissais déjà assez bien, mais là, je pense que je me connais très bien. Et voilà, beaucoup de joie sur des moments simples. Parfois, ça peut être une belle manœuvre réussie. Parfois, c'est sortir d'un système météo compliqué. Des moments durs, exigeants, forcément. C'est un challenge quotidien, déjà de manier comme ça un bateau. Et puis des moments, voilà, de pur plaisir. Et je pense au passage du Cap Horn,
When I
qui,
passed,
pour moi, qui est tant rêvé en regardant les récits des marins, c'était
I was
un
dreaming
moment
of
incroyable. Il y en a eu d'autres. Voilà, donc une
the
épreuve, mais
so
quelque
for me, it
chose de vraiment très fort, de hors norme, et tellement difficile d'en parler avec quelques mots comme ça.
to express
Qu'est-ce que
on
vous
which
disiez à Giro, là, vous avez échangé là, avec beaucoup d'amitié, beaucoup de sincérité.
Kojiro, en fait, on a vécu la même avarie en 2016. Donc,
same
il a
damage.
dématé, lui, au niveau du Cap de Bonne-Espérance, et moi, après les Wins. Donc,
Hope.
non seulement on a partagé à peu près les mêmes émotions dans la course, parce qu'il se trouve qu'on était ensemble au départ et puis à l'arrivée.
We were together at the start of
On était pas mal dans les mêmes systèmes météo sur la remontée de l'Atlantique notamment. Et on
distance.
sait ce que ça représentait,
Also, we knew
ce
what
qui nous est
it
arrivé en
meant
2016. Donc
happened
voilà, je vais juste glisser un mot là-dessus, et voilà, quelques regards suffisent à
a
partager
few
cette émotion.
to share this.
C'est particulièrement savoureux
It's,
de se retrouver et d'avoir réussi ce challenge ensemble.
great to have
Et
done this.
moi, j'ai été vraiment charmé toute la
I was
course de l'esprit qu'il y avait entre les marins.
by this race, and
C'est un vrai esprit de solidarité, mais au sens vraiment, c'est pas usurpé comme terme. Et notamment quand on est dans le même système météo, quand il y a du gros temps, il y a
same,
beaucoup de bienveillance.
there's a lot of
C'est pas céder à savoir ce qu'on fait comme choix, bien sûr, mais c'est conseiller, savoir tu as vu ce système, qu'est-ce que tu en penses, comment
about the system
comment
itself.
est-ce qu'on le gère pour que ce soit sécu, donner des conseils et partager. Et ça, je pense que c'est qu'est-ce qu'il y a comme autre sport où
I
où
don't
des
think there are
concurrents sont aussi bienveillants entre eux,
competitors
pas
or so
grand-chose. Donc je pense qu'il s'est vraiment passé quelque chose de particulier cette édition aussi entre les skippers, aussi
edition.
grâce aux moyens du numérique qui permettent d'échanger plus, mais il y avait
Means
des
of
beaux échanges, et moi, j'ai vraiment aimé
I really
cette ambiance.
this
Arnaud expliquait hier que sur votre groupe WhatsApp, tu as demandé conseil pour conserver le grand voile. Il me semble
Ouais.
que c'est
Romain.
Athanasio qui t'a donné.
Arno
Oui.
spoke about advice exchange by
Ouais,
Rob.
en fait, c'est relativement simple, mais c'est très beau parce que ce qui se
Very
passe, c'est que très rapidement, au bout de 3 semaines de course, mon système de hook, donc qui me permet de prendre des ris et de bloquer ma voile dans le mât,
my hook
casse.
system on
Mais
the
il y a
main
un système de
rope.
sécurité. Donc,
There's this
j'utilise le système de sécurité qui lui casse aussi.
and
Et
that
là,
one
pour moi, c'était fini parce que c'est un système de chariot qui vient s'accrocher dans le mât. Et quand j'ai vu le chariot cassé,
that was broken.
j'étais dépité. Je me suis dit, comment je vais pouvoir finir cette course sans pouvoir tenir ma grand voile?
Managed to
Et
finish the
j'ai partagé cette information sur le groupe en demandant à tout hasard, est-ce que quelqu'un a déjà rencontré cette avarie et est-ce que quelqu'un a une solution? Et là,
damage
il y a
and
un
had a
Romain Athanasio qui me dit oui, il y a une solution, mais je la connais pas, mais je sais que quelque
Said-
chose existe, demande à un tel.
know what
Et
it
donc, ça
was.
fait toute une chaîne. Et pour la petite histoire, l'inventeur de cette solution, c'est quelqu'un que je crois que vous connaissez, puisqu'il s'appelle Jean Le Cam.
I think
Et qu'il il avait eu un problème équivalent sur une course, je ne sais pas laquelle.
on a race.
Et donc, en remontant la boucle comme ça, il m'a dit sur le grand principe, si tu avais à faire comme ça devrait marcher. Et
Finish,
moi, j'ai trouvé ça génial parce que, pareil, dans quel sport on donne un conseil à son concurrent
beautiful aspect
pour
of this.
l'aider à rester en course, à finir. C'est exceptionnel. Donc voilà, belle solidarité. Puis il y a tellement d'exemples comme ça. À chaque fois que quelqu'un avait un problème, tout le monde s'y mettait pour donner son conseil, son partage d'expérience. Donc voilà, très beau.
Stéphanie, a few moments. This sharing of experience,
heure.
this is very symbolic but very interesting on the
Avant le
race.
final. Ah, aujourd'hui, là. Ah, bah là, c'est sympathique.
So about
c'est un
today,
Vendée Globe,
the technical issue was
La
pleasant.
journée
It's
était
a Vendée
belle, la
Globe.
température remontait.
The day
ça
was
devait pas se
great.
passer
The
comme ça.
temperature were going up.
Donc, voilà,
Everything was
c'est tout
going
bête.
well.
Nos
So
moteurs, on les utilise pas en
it's
air
really
en tant que génératrice.
stupid.
Et donc, le système d'embrayage
There
avant-arrière,
was a
c'est des
problem with the motor.
Et donc, c'est un peu le cirque à l'intérieur. Et
And
en
the
fait, quand on a
shift,
quitté les mouillages,
the gearing
les
system,
personnes
and
qui
the
s'occupaient du bateau
boat was
ont tiré
moored,
sur le mauvais bout.
and
Et
somebody
du coup, on est
pulled on the
parti en avant, on
rope.
est parti en arrière. Pas de bol, il y avait le bout de
Went
mouillage.
forward
On
instead
a
of
pris dans
going
l'hélice.
backward.
Jusque-là, un bout dans l'hélice, c'est pas très grave. Sauf qu'avec la houle qui s'est passée, c'est comme si on était au mouillage pris avec l'arbre d'hélice. Et l'arbre d'hélice, il s'est fait tirer vers le bas, il s'est arraché.
Part of
Du coup,
the
on avait un trou.
turbine
Et moi, j'étais dans la cabine.
turned off.
Et heureusement, j'étais juste à côté, un trou dans la coque, donc j'ai tout de suite mis
So
la main. Et puis,
there
après,
was
on
a
s'est
hole in
relevé
the
pour
hull
couper, machin, puis
also.
on a sorti le bateau tout de suite.
So I was close
In
and
fine, c'est
reacted.
pas très grave parce que
Rode out of the water.
le bateau
In the
il est
end,
sorti, il est sécurisé,
Not
on n'a rien.
too serious because the
par
boat
ce
is
petit trou.
secured. It is now
C'est-à-dire qu'on
out
n'a
of
pas
the
noyé le
water.
circuit électrique ni le moteur et autres. Donc voilà, de toute façon, les accidents, par
It's a-
définition, on les regrette toujours, mais
An
voilà, c'est fait.
accident, of
Maintenant,
course, we
on va
always
réparer, et puis,
regret them,
voilà,
but
quoi.
now it's done.
Maintenant, j'arrive en semi-rigide, c'est chic.
And I came back on a rib, which is also different but chic.
Ah bah clairement, au départ, souvent quand on me demandait mais c'est quoi l'objectif, je ne manquais
Often when
jamais de dire
people ask me
c'est
what my
un, c'est
objective
finir.
was, of course,
Je
I
sais
always
trop ce que
answer
ça
number
représente.
one
En
is to
2016,
finish.
j'étais 10e.
2016, I
J'ai
was 10th
démonté à
when I
mi-course
dismissed it.
exactement. Et en tant que bisu, super content,
And
grisé
I'm
par
coming
un peu
back
trop
on
sans
this
doute
edition.
par cette performance. Et puis,
I was
après, je sais ce que ça m'a coûté à tout point de vue de
a better
pas le
performance, but I
finir.
know what it
Donc, je suis venu avec évidemment la ferme intention de
So
donner le meilleur.
I wanted to
Mais
give it all,
avoir à chaque instant à l'esprit que
but having in
le
mind
Globe,
at
il faut le
each moment
faut
that
le
on the
finir,
Vendée Globe,
parce que
you have to finish.
voilà, c'est ça qui est le plus beau, c'est d'arriver à
That's
boucler un tour du monde en
the most
solitaire, sans
beautiful
escale, sans assistance.
About this race is to finish
Voilà,
around the world
c'est ça qui-
solo,
c'est ça qui
without
est
stop
formidable.
and without assistance.
Et maintenant, qu'est-ce que tu attends dans les heures qui viennent maintenant? Un bon repas, la
So in the
Déjà
coming
hier,
hours,
c'était super parce qu'en équipe, ils avaient préparé, en dépit de toutes ces histoires de confinement,
My
couvre-feu et compagnie,
had
donc
already
on n'a pas pu
prepared
faire, comme tout le monde, cette belle fête qu'on aurait imaginée, mais on a eu un très bon
party
moment de partage
despite
avec
the conditions.
les proches, les partenaires.
So we had a
Hélène qui est là avait préparé
nice
tout
party
parfaitement.
to share
Avec,
with
je
partners,
me demandais si tu vas avoir
with the
des fruits de
family.
mer, par exemple.
I had asked, for
Sur
example,
l'eau, mais on n'en profite
food,
pas.
water you never
Donc là,
enjoy.
je me suis régalé avec des choses très simples en
So
fait.
I
Et moi,
had
ce qui m'a fait le plus
great
plaisir,
meals.
c'est simplement d'être avec les gens que j'aime
But what
et
I
qui m'ont aidé à
appreciated
monter ce projet.
just to be with
C'est
people that I
j'avais pas
enjoy.
d'envie particulière de
participating
manger,
in
de
the
me boucher, de
project.
machin. J'avais envie de me retrouver avec ceux qui
I
comptent
wanted to meet
beaucoup.
up with the ones who
Ici,
count for me.
qu'est-ce que vous racontez comme ça en petit comité, juste après l'arrivée?
Ah bah, c'est pareil, c'est toujours dur
For the
d'arriver à
finish,
résumer, mais
what
c'est
we
couché
share
à
with
8 heures du matin, donc on a eu le temps de, on a eu le temps de quand même pas mal explorer les sujets, mais
it's difficult
les
to
questions sont
share
surtout
this,
basées
but
sur mon
the
ressenti,
questions
sur
are
mon
mostly
émotion, comment j'ai vécu la chose, parce qu'ils
on
ont
my
se sont
presence,
techniquement
how
suivi
I
la course derrière les écrans.
race.
Donc quelque part, pour tous ces proches, je n'avais pas besoin de leur expliquer qu'est-ce que j'ai eu comme condition, machin.
For
C'est
those
directement
relatives, they
l'étape
already knew
suivante,
all
c'est
the technical aspects.
comment je me sens, comment je l'ai vécu,
More about
qu'est-ce
how I feel,
qu'est-ce
how
qui est
I
marquant. Voilà, c'est
this race, what
plus
are
sur le
the
registre de l'émotion.
highlights of this race, and not about emotions.
conférence de presse, si vous voulez bien.
Et bien, on s'arrête là.
Bravo.
Merci.
À tout à l'heure.
So we're just going to leave Stefan and Raison in a few minutes, heading up the red carpet. In a few minutes, I think we'll join the press conference for Alan Rura. Stefan taking the champagne with him. He's only just taken the top off the bottle. He's going to share that with his team. And I think hopefully in a few minutes to the live stream for Alan Ruda's press conference. In an ideal world. But really, I think, Daphne, anything can happen this afternoon. It's relaxed, happy Stefan Lederezong coming up the main pontoon, up the skipper's pontoon. That centre walkway is reserved only for the skippers returning. There's a little mixed zone area. But I think Stefan's largely spoken to the media. Nice to hear him talking about the shared. Thank you very much. Join us in a few moments for the press conference of Alan Arura.